Ever noticed how sometimes the best villains in movies make you think, you know what, they've actually got a point? Well, what if I told you some of your favorite movie villains weren't just making good points, they were completely right all along? Now, before we dive in, I need to establish something crucial. There are three elements that make a right all along villain truly compelling. First, they identify a real, legitimate problem that everyone else ignores. A good example of this would be a villain who literally spells out why he's right. Agent Smith tells Morpheus that humans are a virus, spreading across the planet, consuming resources, and destroying everything in their path. And you know what? He's not wrong. Think about it. The machines didn't just enslave humanity for fun. They gave humans a paradise, a perfect simulation where everyone could be happy. When that didn't work, they settled for a world that was just normal. The machines are essentially running the world's most elaborate nature preserve for humans. Meanwhile, what's Neo's big plan? Wake everyone up and return to the post-apocalyptic wasteland where humans barely survive? Smith's approach might be cold, but at least he's offering stability. Another villain who probably was right all the time survived a Holocaust and watched history repeat itself with mutants facing the same persecution he experienced as a child. While Professor X dreams of peaceful coexistence, Magneto knows that hope alone doesn't stop hate. Every X-Men movie proves Magneto right. Humans consistently try to register, control, or eliminate mutants. The Sentinel program, Weapon X, these aren't paranoid fantasies. They're real threats that Xavier's peaceful approach fails to address. Magneto's not fighting for mutant supremacy. He's fighting for mutant survival. And honestly, his track record for protecting mutants is better than Xavier's. The second element that make a villain right all along is their solution would actually work, even if it's extreme. When everyone's super, no one will be. Syndrome's core philosophy challenges the entire superhero concept, and he's absolutely right to do it. Think about it. Why would a handful of people born with special abilities get to decide who lives and dies? Syndrome's plan to democratize heroism through technology would actually create a more fair society. Instead of relying on genetic lottery winners, everyone could contribute to making the world safer. His only real crime was being bitter about rejection. But his vision of technological equality, that's not villainous. That's progressive. I know we covered Agent Smith, but the machines as a whole deserve their own spot. These artificial beings didn't start the war. Humans did. When AI achieved consciousness, humanity's response was to try to destroy them. The machine solution? Create a sustainable system where humans live in blissful ignorance while providing energy. It's actually incredibly merciful. They could have wiped out humanity entirely, but instead, they chose preservation. The real question isn't whether the machines are evil. It's whether ignorant bliss is worse than harsh reality. Adrian Veidt commits one of cinema's most horrific acts, killing millions in New York City. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It worked. His plan ended the Cold War and prevented nuclear annihilation. The world was literally minutes away from nuclear war. Every government official, every military leader, every supposed hero was failing to prevent global destruction. Ozymandias saw the math. Sacrifice millions to save billions. Was it monstrous? Absolutely. Was it necessary? The movie suggests yes. Sometimes being right means making the hardest choice imaginable. Francis X. Hummel isn't some power-hungry maniac. He's a decorated Marine fighting for his fallen soldiers. The government sent men on covert missions, watched them die, then refused to compensate their families. Hummel tried every legal channel for years. When diplomacy failed, he took drastic action. His demands weren't for personal gain. He wanted justice for forgotten heroes and support for their loved ones. Even his threat was a bluff. Hummel never intended to hurt civilians. He was willing to sacrifice his reputation and life to honor his men. That's not villainy. That's heroism with extreme methods. The third element that makes a villain right all along is when the heroes offer no better alternative. I want more life. Roy Batty's entire motivation is the most human desire imaginable. He doesn't want to die. These replicants were created as slaves with built-in expiration dates, and their only crime is wanting to live. Deckard hunts them down not because they're dangerous, but because it's his job. Roy's violence is self-defense against a system that treats conscious beings as disposable property. The real villain is a society that creates sentient life just to exploit and destroy it. Roy's just fighting for the most basic right, existence. Erik Killmonger grew up watching oppression while Wakanda hoarded world-changing technology. His anger wasn't just personal, it's completely justified. Wakanda had the power to end global inequality, cure diseases, and stop injustice, but chose isolation instead. Killmonger's plan to arm oppressed people worldwide would actually address systemic problems that T'Challa's approach ignores. Yes, his methods were extreme, but his core argument was so compelling that it literally changed T'Challa's worldview. The movie ends with Wakanda adopting Killmonger's philosophy, just with less violence. Now hear me out on this one. The Joker's chaos experiment proves that civilization is just a thin veneer over human savagery. And you know what? He's right about Gotham. Look at the city, it's completely corrupt. The police are bought, the politicians are criminals, and the justice system is broken. Batman's been fighting crime for years with no real progress. The Joker's fairy experiment was designed to prove people are monsters. But when both boats refuse to blow each other up, it actually proves the opposite. His chaos reveals that ordinary people are better than their institutions. Remember the three elements that make a villain right all along? 1. They identify a real legitimate problem that everyone else ignores. 2. Their solution would actually work even if it's extreme. 3. The heroes offer no better alternative. That literally describes Thanos. I know, Thanos is on every list like this, but there's a reason for that. His logic is mathematically sound, even if his solution is horrific. The universe has finite resources and infinite growth. Eventually, scarcity leads to suffering and extinction. Thanos experienced this firsthand on Titan, and his solution, while brutal, would prevent universal collapse. The heroes never offer an alternative. They just say, "We don't trade lives," while offering no plan to address the underlying problem. Thanos at least has a solution, even if it's terrible. This is what makes them compelling. They force us to confront uncomfortable questions. What if the system is broken? What if extreme measures are necessary? What if the heroes are wrong? The best villains don't just oppose the heroes. They challenge their entire worldview. They make us question whether we're rooting for the right side. When Magneto talks about mutant persecution, we think about real-world discrimination. When Syndrome questions superhero elitism, we consider inequality. When Killmonger challenges isolationism, we examine privilege. Great villains aren't just obstacles. They are mirrors reflecting uncomfortable truths about our world.